What up, man? This is Sean Strange.
Mighty Fuzz Young.
And you're watching the bshine.com. I came up in Queens, so my brother, I have an older brother who rapped since we were kids. Like, I'm talking like early 90s. And then we actually moved to Long Island for 2 years. Very quick stay, but we moved to Long Island and we met up with these two other guys named O-Dub and Raider, who actually, we ended up forming a group called NGP, No Good People. And they were linked. Raider was linked to a guy named Mr. Hyde, who was signed with Necro, who turned out to be that my brother and Mr. Hyde went to high school together. So right from there, like, they were doing shows together in Queens, and I was like 13. You know, I would be street teaming for Necro. Necro would send me CDs and tapes and posters, and I'd be running around my neighborhood, you know, doing that. And that was like when I first got my foot into like some experience. Like, but even before that, I'd been like, you know, the old school with the tape recorder with my brother playing Public Enemy beats and trying to rap. But I would say my first introduction into like really some kind of like, wow, people do this for a living, was being around like my brother and Mr. Hyde and X-Lib and these guys, because and then I built my way up to, you know, obviously doing my own thing. But that would be like my first time where I was like, wow, like, you know, the Fat Beats era. I remember going to Fat Beats and Ill Bill work there and Q Unique work there. Like, I would cut school and take the train into Fat Beats. And I bought my first nonfiction record, vinyl, from Ill Bill personally, before I even knew it was him on the vinyl. And he came up to me and was like, yo, you like that right there? I was like, yeah, man, nonfiction's the shit. He's like, yeah, that's me right there. I'm like, oh, cool, man, cool. And he signed the record for me. It was cool. And then I ended up years later touring with him, and I told him that story, and he trips over that. So
my first inspiration for music was my uncle. He was into rock, and, you know, I watched them start with their music. And as a kid, you know, listening in the basement, they would be practicing and stuff like that. And when I was growing up, it wasn't really rock in my neighborhood. I come from Ridgewood, Queens, very poor neighborhood, mixed neighborhood, Spanish, black, white, and you know, hip-hop was the music of the people at the time, you know, so I was raised on it. But the difference with me was that my friends were listening to, like, DJ Premier, producers like that, and I was listening to Timbaland. I liked Timbaland stuff, so I would listen to, like, Aaliyah, Missy Elliott, Genuine, Magoo, you know. Very different than what everybody else was listening to. And I just realized that Timbaland just had music that was another level. Like, even to this day, if you go back to his music, it's such on a different plateau than, like, let's say a Premier, in my opinion.
You know, we had been doing local shows and stuff like that. And then I would say around 2005, we got a production deal with a record label. And, man, we thought we were like, you know, we thought we had like this big record deal, not realizing what was going to happen. And even before that, man, in 2004, we had met PMD for me, PMD. And I remember he did a verse and a free beat for us. And at the time, no one from the industry had ever given us anything. Like, we always felt like we were those white kids that no one cared about. So when he did that, it kind of like, we were really excited about it, you know what I mean? And then fast forwarding, like I said, we got a production deal, and then we were really killing it on the New York circuit. I mean, performing everywhere you could think of. And then we actually had a song on mainstream radio in around 2008. And we did a concert with, like, Lady Gaga called Mega Jam. It's like a big festival in Long Island. Excuse me. And Lady Gaga was on it. I mean, Pitbull, Keith Murray, Naughty by Nature, Colby O'Donnell. Like, anybody that was anybody at that time was on that festival. And, man, we started meeting with record labels. We thought it was going to happen, and it just tanked. Like, our records stopped playing. Labels were like, we had like meetings with labels. They're like, nah, it's cool. Come back to us. So at that point, like, the whole group had kind of, you could see my group getting sour. And, you know, mind you, I was the one in the group that was, like, only doing music, trying to make it a living. At that point, I'd been selling some beats, $100 here, you know. And around 2007 is where I really got my first taste of, like, money in the industry. Mr. Hyde and Necro gave me a chance to produce the whole Mr. Hyde album. What people don't know is that Mr. Hyde's second album was entirely produced, mixed, and mastered by me. And I remember they paid me $3,000 for the beats. And I was like, I thought I was fucking Donald Trump running around with my little fucking $3,000. But it showed me that I could make money off the shit, you know? And I knew my group was going to run its course. I knew eventually that they were going to, like, you know, and I love these guys to death. Like, we're like family, but I knew I was going to have to set myself up. So I started going hard with my solo career. And then Necro offered me a deal with his label. I ran with him for 2 years. Couldn't really, we couldn't get along with each other. Like, I got love for him. He did everything he could for me. He put me on my first magazine cover, all that. But we just couldn't get along, man. I wanted to do my thing. He wanted me to be like his little soldier. So we kind of decided to part ways, and then I went and got myself a distribution deal for my album that was supposed to come out to him. Put it out myself. To this day, it sold over 10,000 units. I grinded it myself. The video was number 2 MTV Freshman, and I toured the world over it. I booked my own first tour. The Snow Goons had produced the record on there, and I hit up Manu from Snow Goons, like a brother to me, and I was like, hey, man, I want to tour out there. What do we got to do? He's like, get a headliner. So I hollered at PMD. I said, yo, P, I got 14 shows for you in Europe that I booked. Let's go. Went out there. I flew my whole team out there. I brought 5 dudes with me on my own dollar at the time, and it was crazy. And once I got out there and I had to taste it out, I was like, oh, it's on. And ever since then, I've been running a successful business, man. I've done almost 200 shows around the world in the last couple of years. I've been everywhere I've been everywhere most people have never been, man. I don't have a major budget. I don't have none of that. You know what I'm saying? That's the guy behind me, Cody, man. We've been all over the world, and I'm on my 3rd album in stores. My last album sold 12,000 units. You know what I mean? With PMD for me, PMD, I just put a mixtape out last year that got 14,000 downloads. You know what I mean? So I have a cult fan base. I just realized I got another kid just sent me a picture of a motherfucker, my autograph tattooed on his arm. I got 16 people with my name tattooed on them. You know what I'm saying? So you show me a major label artist that, you know what I mean, got people branding their name on them. I'm sure you're not going to find that. So that's my fucking inspiration right there. If you don't fuck with me, look a dick.
Well, as a producer, I did what any other producer would do, try to get music to big artists. When I was early in my career, the first big artist that I got to work with was Ali Vegas. At the time, I grew up listening to Ali Vegas, so that was a very big thing. I was very grateful that he took the time out to work with me and, somewhat showed me the ropes, The second artist was Uncle Murda. I knew Murda before he got signed to Jay. Actually, the day he got signed, he was actually in the studio with us working for My Generals. Got to work with Joel Ortiz. That's what basically works. For a producer, you want to get your music out to big artists, and hopefully they feel it and push it, and that's what really got my music out. My first piece of production equipment was the Hold on. Was the Dr. Rhythm by Boss. It was an orange and black little box, and I didn't even know, to be honest, that it made beats. I thought you had to use the template beats, and my boy Pip, shout out to Pip. He actually told me, yo, Fuzz, you can make beats on it. Yeah, that was my first piece, man. He showed me.
Too, that's what's up. Yo, tell me about the studio you set up in the crib, man. You got the booth, you built the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I was 16. Yeah, I was 16, and I built my own studio in my house, and official studio, and I always was grateful for it. So every morning I would wake up, go down there, and just be grateful for it. And I said, one day I'm gonna have a big studio. And luckily, when I was 21, I was able to open up the Cuckoo's Nest recording studio in Queens, which is probably top three studios in Queens.
My mother always supported me, and my father's a musician, so my father always supported that. Like, he actually never got a chance to do the music that he wanted to, because he made, mistakes, as we all do. So my parents have always been very supportive. They just want me to be able to make a living, you know what I'm saying? And my mom's super, super supportive. Like, she actually, is hyped to see what happens next. You know what I mean? Like, my mom seen me on BET. My mom seen me on MTV. I was on A&E Intervention. You know what I mean? I was on, you know what I mean? Like, she seen me come home from, I bring my mom home gifts from every country I go to. You know what I mean? I've walked into the room and given my mom $3-4 grand off of Word Up. Yeah, bro, I had a promoter send my mom a big, huge box of Swiss chocolate. Like, you know what I mean? Just to show I was out there working. So my mom, I support myself. As long as I can support myself and make a living, she's cool with it. You know what I mean? She actually, I got to say, my mom is, I actually think and they're probably going to see this and laugh, I actually think my sister probably slept on me more than anybody. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. You know what I mean? They always thought that I would, you could see they worried. They're like, what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? So it's actually at the point where my whole family, I would say, is very, very, very supportive. And I mean, honestly, even if I feel like at this point, I don't sound cocky, but even if you're not supportive, like, how can you hate on what I'm doing? You know what I'm saying? I haven't had to work a job in 6 years. I'm not rich, but I'm far from broke. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's a balance. You know what I'm saying? And I think most people want to, I say this to folks all the time, everybody's born with a dream, right? Whether you want to be a basketball player, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a fucking astronaut, whatever. Like, I'm actually living the dream. Like, my first dream was to be a basketball player. I became a drug addict, ruined that, and then now my second thing was music. And I put forth the effort into music that I always wanted to put into basketball. People don't know about me. I'm a super nice basketball player. Get on the court with me, you might get embarrassed.
I don't know what he's talking about. My family told me to get me a job. As soon as I got my first keyboard, they would say get a job. Nah, I'm joking. Luckily, even though music didn't work out for my father, he still supported all the way through. My mother never understood, so she would say get a job, and you're not. Yeah, he definitely did. Number 7 on the billboards, my uncle. But even though shit didn't work out for my family, they still were very supportive. So I appreciate that very much. And now that everything's going on with me and Sean, and how everything just, we have MTV, like you said, CMT, all that shit. Like, they're really supportive, and they want just the best for me.
I mean, so many cool things that I can't believe that I've actually gotten to do. Sometimes that like really trips me out. But I have to say, like, the number one thing is being in different parts of the world. Like, there'll be times where, like, I specifically remember, like, my last tour, I got to Czech Republic. I was headlining some indoor winter festival, right? And just some bullshit happened when we got there. The hotel reservation was a little messed up, and the ride from the airport was late, things of that nature, whatever. And the promoter, like, we got a little nasty with her. And I feel bad. Shout out to Lucy from Czech Republic. But we got a little nasty with her because we were just stressed from traveling all day. And she started crying in the hotel room, like in the hotel lobby. And I felt so bad, and I stepped outside and I started looking at street signs and seeing all this kind of weird language, and people walk around speaking Czech, and I'm like, yo, how did I get here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here in Czech Republic because I'm rapping. So I have to say, like, traveling the world. Like, I've been to Sicily and Rome. Like, I went to perform in Rome and then went to the Colosseum the next day. You know what I mean? I've had sex in 15 different countries. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's like, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things we're here to be proud of, but I would have to say places that I looked at in my history book in high school, I've actually been able to travel to. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, and I can't wait to take this guy with me. He's next. We'll bring him to Europe so he can fuck some shit up out there.
I'm very proud that we were able to get our music on MTV recently. Right? And even though I've been doing music for about 15 years, like just this year, we finally did a milestone that I've always wanted. When I was a kid, more than the music, I just wanted to see those 3 letters, MTV, on my video, and seeing that, like a little girl, I cried. I'll beat that up with you, be sure, VH1, CMT. I mean, these things, we're about, yeah, that's right. We had a song on a RoboClip in Switzerland. So, I mean, yeah, man, that really took its toll on me. It makes me want to do this more. Even though I'm late in my ages, I still want to do this. So that's it.
I hope that fans continue to be influenced by my music. I think the number one thing I want to do is, like, while we all want to make money and have that record that breaks through, like, I think the one thing that keeps me going is when people hit me up and say, hey, man, my record, your song got me through a parent passing away, or I just broke up with my girlfriend, my boyfriend, and your record got me through, or tattoo my lyrics on their body. I actually got a kid who wrote me and told me his mom was in the hospital dying, and he was in the room with her watching her die, listening to a song with me and Snogoon called Cardiac Rhythm. And he told me that as she was dying, he put the song on her ears. She was like comatose, dying, and he's like, I put the headphones on her ears with your record playing, and that shit made it easier. To me, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, his mom's dying, the kid's thinking about a Sean Strange record to make that moment better or easier to deal with. So I would think that's the impact I want. You know what I mean? If I was in the hospital dying, I want fucking thousands of kids outside lighting candles like, don't leave me, Sean Strange. You complete my world type shit. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Like, it sounds crazy, but, because that's how, like, I remember when I was a kid and Tupac died, I felt like, you know what I mean? I felt it because, like, his music had such an impact on what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Same way I feel about Eminem's music. You know what I mean? I remember when Benzino was beefing with Eminem, me and my boy Rado in the car, and we're like, he better not fucking do anything to Eminem. Like, I remember saying that, like, he better not do anything to him. Like, we're going to have to go ride out for Eminem because his music impacted us so much that we didn't want that taken away from us. I think that ultimately that's what we all do as musicians. We want to reach people on a deeper level. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that 10, 15 years from now, people consider my music timeless, a classic.
I always wanted a hit record in each genre. There's a couple of genres that I produce, and it's bigger than hip hop to me. Like, I love music in general. I'm inspired by all kinds of different music. So my legacy, what I would like to do is have a hit record in, dance music, rock music. I would even do a country record. R&B I can do. I can do all of it. So I mean, yeah, that's where I want my legacy to reside.